Hello and welcome to today's video, which is going to be my review of the Eldridge Betty eyeshadow palette. This is her limited edition spring palette, which it was released alongside the Kitten Lash Mascara in the new brown shade called Burnt Umber, which is the same shade as one of the Seamless Glide eye pencils. I received the palette last Friday and since then I have been testing it out. This is the only thing I've worn for the past 5 days. Yeah, 5 days. I have done, this will be my 6th look that I'm doing with it. So I've done 5 looks so far. I've taken photos both on my phone and on my DSLR camera, just so I can kind of have like close up really good quality shots of the eyeshadows on my eyes. And I will be doing a corresponding blog post with this video so that you can see all of the photos. I also have swatches of the eyeshadows in different lights and with and without eye primer underneath, just so you can see all the different varieties, and hopefully it will be as helpful as possible. I know this has been out for a couple of weeks now. I didn't want to do a review. Well, I wasn't able to do a review straight away, but I didn't want to do a review straight away either. I really wanted to get my hands into the palette, do as many looks as I could, and then give my thoughts and demonstrate it on camera as well. So in today's video I'm going to do a review, but also I'm going to do a look with the palette and talk about it as I do the look, because I just think that's the best way for me to demonstrate the palette. If you're a fan of Lisa Eldridge, you've probably seen this palette on social media, on her social media, and you've probably seen other creators doing reviews of it. I obviously wanted to get my thoughts out there. They did send me the palette and the mascara, so just so everyone knows they were PR samples. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get into the demo of the palette. I do the rest of my makeup. I'm going to use the mascara today as well, so I will do the demo and then I will do a kind of my thoughts then at the end. So I've just come in a little bit closer so you can see the detail a little bit more, and I am going to just start and see what happens. I have an idea of what I want to do. I have used all of the shades multiple times, and I have tried to do as many kind of varieties of looks as possible, so that when I post this video I'll have like images, reference images, and I'm also going to have all of those photos on my blog post. But I just wanted to be able to get to grips with the shades and use them in as many different ways as possible, so that I can kind of give my full opinions as much as possible. I've only had this for 6 days now, so it's not a full opinion. I have 3 of her other palettes. I have Sorcery, Vega and Cinnabar. I know Cinnabar is discontinued now. I haven't tried Myth or Muse or Fawn, which was the one that was released before Christmas. I haven't tried any of those, but I have a full review of the other 3 palettes on my blog with loads and loads of photographs up close, loads of different looks using those palettes, and I'm really familiar with those formulas. I already had an idea of the formulas and the packaging and all of that kind of stuff, so this was kind of, I suppose, more about the colours than anything else, because I was familiar with the formulas. I think there was one formula that I hadn't tried. I think it was the Luster that I hadn't tried before, which there's 2 shades in the Luster formula, so I think that was the one I hadn't tried before, but I will go through all of that later. So I'm going to just start and go in with my fingers, or will I go in with a brush? I might do a brush. Yeah, maybe I'll do a brush. I think what I'm going to do is do a little bit of a kind of 70s inspired pastel with a little bit of a smoke to it, very rounded, bright eye look, and start from there. So I'm going to start with Lavender Queen, which is a satin metallic finish, and I'm going to use the Lisa Eldridge number 15 brush. No, number 9. Yeah, sorry, number 9 brush. And I'm just going to apply that all over my eyelids and see what happens. So I'm going to kind of apply it in a rounded shape. I do have eye primer on because I have such oily eyelids, and I will always wear eye primer regardless of the eyeshadow formula. So I do have the Urban Decay primer potion on, because if I don't use that, eyeshadows will always kind of break down on my eyes and crease, because I do have such oily eyelids. I just also find that I like how a primer helps with the vibrancy of the eyeshadows. I did take photos today of the swatches of the eyeshadows with and without primer, just so you can see the difference that a primer makes. So I'm trying to do this in a rounded shape, and I will be kind of bringing some underneath my eye as well. When I first saw this palette, I was like, yes, that is gonna be mine. Like, I have to have that. And like, if you've like been following me for a bit of time, you know that I love purple eyeshadow. It's one of my favorite shades to wear on my eyes. I just love it so much. And I'm gonna go quite far up because my eyes are a little bit hooded. I want to kind of bring it up a little bit further and kind of into the inner corner, but still keeping that kind of more rounded shape than winged out, because I do want it to be a little bit more like 70s inspired. So that is the shade Lavender Queen all over my eyelids. You could 100% leave it there, just add mascara or maybe like a little bit of liquid or pencil liner, and that could be your look. And that's like such a nice fresh springtime look. But I'm just going to add more because obviously I want to try and demonstrate the palette as much as I can. I'm going to take the Eldridge number 15 brush, and I'm going to use that under my eyes. This is a pencil brush, so I'm going to just take this again all under my eyes and keep it kind of quite close to my lash line. Yeah, so I absolutely loved this color story when I saw it. I didn't know that it was going to be limited edition, and I really hope she makes it permanent because I just think it's so nice. It's still in stock, which is great. Sometimes with limited edition products, they just go out of stock and they never come back in stock. And obviously I wanted to try and film this video while the product is still in stock and available to buy, because I don't know, like, I'm sure there are people who maybe aren't sure, and that's why I wanted to get as many looks done as possible before my review, because I really wanted to, you know, if you don't have the palette yet, you might look at this video and think, oh yeah, that's for me. Or else if you do have the palette, hopefully this video will give you ideas of how to wear it, because I know that that's the thing that I was talking to people in my DMs and stuff, and that was kind of the one thing that people said, was that they weren't sure what ways they could wear it. And hopefully this will be like a little bit of inspiration if that's what you're looking for. I'm going to use this little brush. So this is the KJH and Spectrum number 17, and it's this little small brush. I'm going to use it with this shade here, Prima Donna, and I'm going to just start building a little bit of depth on the corners and kind of bring it maybe a third of the way across my eye. And I guess like what you can do with this kind of look is to kind of look forward with your eyes open and place the brush, and then just kind of, I like to do it this way so I can see how it looks when my eyes are open and relaxed, just to see how far up I need to go, because sometimes I like to go up a little bit further. And I'm going to round it off, not wing it, but just kind of round it off and keep it quite rounded. And then I will bring it a little bit onto the outer lower lash line as well, and do it on this side, so it just adds a little bit of depth and it gives it that kind of rounded look. So yeah, so I was talking to people about it, and they kind of said, oh, I've worn it in these ways, but I'm not sure how to wear it like a day-to-day, because obviously, you know, you want to get the most out of your makeup and the most out of your palettes. And I suppose this is might be quite a out there palette for some people if you're not used to wearing colors like this. It also has the more neutrals, and then that shade Starlit, the one in the center at the bottom, is kind of like a duochrome, but it kind of has a transparent or semi-transparent base, so it makes it quite easy to just wear whatever way you want to, and then it looks different depending on what's underneath it. So I'm just blending out that deeper purple what's it called again? Prima Donna. And this is one of the metallic formulas. So it just gives it a little bit of depth. And then I'm going to use the same shade on the pencil brush and bring it underneath like this. So I have been really loving playing with this palette. It's just, yeah, it's so me. Like, I love those slightly cooler mink kind of mushroomy shades, and then I love the purples. I like the golden, kind of warm golden shade is really nice, with particularly with like blue and green eyes. It has that like bit of warmth to it. I did a look where I wore that one all over my lid, and then I did the Starlit Duochrome shade on my inner corner, and I just loved how it looked. It was just so fun. I'm just going to have a little bit of fallout just from blending. I would usually look down a bit more when I'm blending, so I wouldn't get fallout as much, but I am trying to kind of like show what I'm doing as well. Anyone I follow who I've seen review the palette or do looks with the palette, I will add links to their profiles below as well, just so that you can see it on more people, because that is always helpful, you know, because I have very pale skin. So if you have deeper skin than me, you may want to see what it looks like on people with deeper skin. I think what I might do is put a little bit of, yeah, I think I'll do a little bit of the burnt umber just on the outer corner and blend that. I love how purple looks with brown, so this is a nice combination, just like on the really outside. And then I'm going to use the Refer 23 brush, which is my favorite, well, one of my favorite brushes to blend out pencil liner. This one and the My Kiko My Mini Smudge are like two of my favorite brushes for blending out pencil. So I'm just kind of blending that mostly on the outer corner and then just in a little bit, so that you have a little bit of depth and dimension just on the outer corner. I may add some on the lower lash line, but I'm not 100% sure yet. And then what I'm going to do is take the shade Starlit. This is the brush that I like to do my inner corner with. This is the R23 from Rebelluna. They're actually closed down now, which is sad because they're an Irish brand. I'm going to take some of Starlit on that brush and kind of focus it mostly on the tip of the brush and just tap it off. And then I'm going to bring it into my inner corner and kind of bring it around. This is a really sparkly eyeshadow. It's very similar, well, it's the same formula as Mercurial from the Sorcery palette, and it has that same kind of really shimmery duochrome effect that is just so spangly and sparkly, and is like such a nice topper shade. The first look I did with this, I did like a 60s style, kind of a graphic cut crease look, and I wore this shade on its own on my eyelid, and it's just such a nice shade on its own. It's so sparkly, it's beautiful. So I'm just doing that on my inner corner, bringing it into that kind of rounded shape so that everything is very round, but that just kind of hits the inside of your eye and makes it so sparkly. And then I might actually take the pencil brush again and just do some of that on the inner corner, because it just looks really nice there as well. So you can see that that's like a really quite a sparkly look, but it is you know, there's something quite springy and fresh about it as well. What I might do now is just add mascara and then just see. I'm going to curl my lashes with the Refer eyelash curler, and then I'm going to do the Burnt Umber mascara. So this is the Kitten Lash Mascara. in the shade Burnt Umber, which is lovely warm brown. And what I love about this is it is an actual brown mascara, unlike some of them which are just tend to be like a lighter black. So I really like that you can see how brown this is. It looks so fresh against a look like this, whereas black might look quite harsh. But yeah, it just makes it more fresh, more, I guess, wearable, approachable, easier to wear, and not as harsh, because I feel like with a look like this, black could look quite intense, whereas the brown is just a really nice change. And I think if you're someone who has fair hair, blonde hair, or maybe red hair, this would look really nice. I have reviewed this mascara already. It was in my makeup favorites of 2024, so I will also put a link to that video if you want to hear my thoughts on the Kitten Lash formula. But it's the same formula, it's just a different shade. And I am hoping that she will come out with the brown Kitten Flick liner as well, because I have really gotten into brown liquid liner. I have a couple of K Beauty ones and I just love how it looks. I guess, like I said, it's just a little bit less harsh than black. I love how the brown liquid liner looks, so I'd love for her to do that. I'm sure she will. It makes sense. But I just think there was so many people when this mascara came out, there were so many people who said that they would love to see it in brown. I think more and more people are wearing brown mascara, and you can see like that's pretty much one coat, maybe 1.5 coats, and it just really like brings your eyelashes up and makes your eyes look wider. And I think I'm going to keep it with just that amount, because I still want to keep the look quite fresh and springy, not too intense. But it's a really buildable formula, and I know that brands say that all the time, but it really is like so easy to do a layer and then go and do another layer and kind of make it a little bit more dramatic and intense, which is something that I appreciate. Like, you can do one really light layer of this and it's like a nice everyday mascara, and then it's whatever way it's formulated, the formula builds on itself really easily and doesn't get crusty and clumpy and too much. So I really like that you can easily build it up. And I've done mascara demos, obviously loads, but what I like to do is kind of rest it on the root of my eyelash, close my eye, and then wiggle it in between and bring it up. And if it was a round brush, I would probably curl it back on itself as well. It's a bit harder to do with this kind of brush, but that's what I would do if it was a round brush, because that kind of gives you a little bit more of a lift and it really deposits the colour on the root of your lash, and then bringing it up so that you don't get all those clumpy bits on the tips of your eyelashes, which is something that I don't like. I don't think anyone does, but it just gives them more that tapered look but makes them more voluminous, which is nice. And that's that, and then I'm going to do the bottom. I did want it to be like quite lashy, because most 70s eye looks are very lashy, and I love how that looks. So that is the mascara, and hopefully you can see that it really is a true brown, and I think it's just a really nice colour, and really, I think particularly for the summer when you're maybe wearing less eye makeup, if you find that the black mascara looks a bit too stark on your eyes, this is a lovely alternative to that. When I reviewed the original Kitten Lash last year, I mentioned about how it lasted for such a long time. Normally I will get a maximum of 3 or 4 months out of mascara, and like the last month it usually kind of dries up quite a bit, but that one, the formula stayed exactly the same for about 5 months, and then I kept using it until it went to the 6-month mark, and it just was the exact same. It didn't get dry until like really the very end, like towards the 6 month mark. So I just thought that if you're looking to get your money's worth out of a mascara, that it really did last a long time. Because if you're going to pay €35 for mascara, it's great that it lasts more than 3 months, because obviously 3 months is the usual time that a mascara starts to really dry out and you kind of start to maybe not be able to use it. I just found that just the formula stayed consistent for like over 5 months, and then it started to dry out, and I got like 6 months out of it, which is, you know, for a mascara it's great, because that does not always happen. And for some mascaras, it's you might get like 2 months out of it. So to get 5 months and for it to stay so consistent was great, and I loved that about it. And I just thought, you know, okay, it's a high-end, it's an expensive mascara, it's €35, so to get that much time out of it is great, because it means if you were to buy that mascara, you would only have to buy 2 a year and that's it, you're done. Whereas with other mascaras, you might have to buy them like every few months. So I just thought I'd mention that. But yeah, that is the look. It's very, yeah, hopefully you can see it's kind of very springy, very fresh. I might actually do a little bit more of the deep purple at the outside corner. And because I have mascara on and I don't want it to kind of get on my mascara, I'm going to try and look down and just swirl that around. I kind of want you to be able to see the deeper shade on the outer corner, like that. Just going to take my pencil brush and just blend under here. What I'll do is I will go and do my concealer, blush, lips, and then I will chat more about the palette. Okay, so I'm finished my look. I just did some concealer, powder, I did some blush and highlighter. I used the Elevated Glow highlighter, and then I did the lip pencil in 1C, the Sculpt shade, and then I did the Balm Embrace in Epanouie and Meet Cute and mixed them together with a little bit of Dancing Rose Gloss Embrace in the centre. So that is it, that's the finished look. I wanted it to be very springy, very fresh, a little bit 70s, not too heavy, but you know, yeah, quite glowy as well. So hopefully I achieved that, and it was quite easy to do as well. It literally like didn't take me any time at all. The little thing that comes with it says that it's a unique and fresh edit of cool silvery mink, lavender and pinky lilac with touches of warm peach blush. So it's also €59, it's £49 and $62, and the eyeshadow refills, the singles, are €14 as well if you wanted to buy one or two of the eyeshadows in a single. So you can do that as well. So there are 6 shades, and there are 5 different formulas. This one is called High Maintenance, and it is described as a peachy ginger gold, and this is in the Luster formula. The other shades that are in the Luster formula are Taffeta Fan from the Muse palette and Dorian from the Fawn palette. So I actually haven't tried this formula before. This shade, Talk to the Paw, is also a Luster formula. So this one and this one are the same formula. Then there's the center shade, and this is called Posh, which is described as a rich mulberry mink with silvery pink pearls. And this is the Luminous formula, which is also the shade Supernova from the Vega palette, Love and Venice from the Muse palette, and White Tie from the Fawn palette. So that is the shade Posh. It's quite a, I guess, quite a PC glitter. It's a little bit more shimmery, yeah, really eye-catching shade. Lavender Queen, which is a satin metallic, and this is also the same formula as Tomorrow's Party from the Muse palette and Faded Amethyst from the Myth palette. This is Starlet, which is a luminous duo. This is the same formula as the shade Mercurial from the Sorcery palette. And then we have Prima Donna, which is a metallic, and this is the same as Moon Swirl from Vega, Madrigal, Swan Song, and Mage from Sorcery. Oh, and Grotto as well, sorry. And Bronzite and Lost Summer from the Cinnabar palette. So this is the one that I have most of. It's just such a nice formula. It's really, really like easy, I would say, to use. It just blends so easily, that formula. Let's go over what the shades are described as. So this is the Peachy Ginger Gold. Posh you've already done. Lilac Queen is described as an incredibly luminous lilac-y pink with a wet look shine. And then Starlet is described as a semi-translucent silvery glittery green with contrasting pink and lilac sparkling pearls. And then Talk to the Paw is described as a cool mushroomy taupe. Prima Donna is described as a deep lavender with contrasting cool and hot pink pearl. I kind of maybe thought that the two cooler shades, these two, would be very similar, but when you swatch them, they aren't at all. In finish and in tone, this is a lot cooler and more, you know, that kind of metallic sheen, whereas this is a really sparkly, slightly warm shade. I wore this one all over my lids and it's so gorgeous. Really lovely shade for the summer, I think, in particular. I think like that just all over your lid would be really nice. I wore it combined with Starlet and it was really nice. I've done loads of looks with them and I will obviously post all of those. So just to give you a little bit about how the shades are described. So metallic, which is Prima Donna, is described as a full-on glittery molten metallic. It can be applied with fingers or for full opacity or as a wash with a brush. The luster shade, which is Talk to the Paw and a high maintenance, densely packed to smooth and extra small pearls, gives a texture of a soft, lustrous, pearly finish. And then the luminous shade, which is Posh, is a medium payoff, a semi-transparent base that can be applied with a light hand for a wash or of luminosity, or with fingertips for an intense glossy lid top coat effect. And the Satin Metallic, which is Lavender Queen, is a satin smooth, densely packed, soft metallic shine. This is the only palette that doesn't have any mattes or velvets in them, which I really like because I love shimmery shades. Unless you are somebody who wears purple eyeshadow and you know that you're going to use it, I don't think this palette is going to be for you. If you're somebody who prefers neutrals, mattes, this is not going to be your palette, and you're going to know that straight away. When I first saw it, I loved it straight away because it's really my kinds of shades. Cooler tones, purples, the really sparkly shade Starlet, I absolutely love that. And then the warm shade as well. I'm quite partial to warm shades as well as cool shades, but I just think that that's such a nice warm gold, and because of the formula, it's really, really easy to apply all over your lid and blend out, and it actually nearly looks like two eyeshadows. There's a photo I took of me wearing that and it nearly looks like I have a deeper shade on my outer corner, which I didn't. So I really like how easy that is to wear. I think this palette is so easy considering the colors and how you might look at it and think, oh, no, I can't deal with it, it's too much, there's no way I'm going to be able to wear that. It is a lot more easy to use than even I thought, and I was somebody who loved it from the first time I saw it, and I knew kind of straight away how I would wear it, but it's even easier than I thought to get such just a really minimal effort but high impact look. And then you can also get something that's very smoky, like one of the days I did Posh all over my lid with my finger, and then I did Talk to the Paw underneath and a little bit of ground coffee eyeliner and just some mascara, and that was like a really easy smoky eye that wasn't too smoky. You could make it more smoky if you applied liner on your waterline, but it was just a really easy look to wear. So I've kind of done, you know, this kind of more ethereal look that I'm wearing today, and then I've also done like a 60s look. I did the kind of grungy halo eye, a smoky look, and then I did that really summery kind of contrasty warm and cool with the high maintenance, that gold, and then Starlet on my inner corner. And I really liked how that looked because it was the kind of warm and cool. You nearly couldn't see the Starlet on my inner corner unless I turned into a certain light, and then you could really see it. And because it had the base, a little bit of a base of high maintenance underneath, it almost kind of looked that lavender as well, which I really liked. So that was like an unexpected favorite. I really, really liked that look. So I have done all of these looks and I've loved all of them. They have been so easy to blend, so easy to put together, because I think one of the things about a palette like this is when you look at it, you kind of think, okay, how am I going to wear this? Like, how am I going to integrate this into a makeup look? To me, all of these shades are really nice together, and obviously this is based on Lisa Eldridge's cat, Betty, or Betty Kitten as she calls her. It's based on her fur, so it's based on something that is, you know, is an animal, it's natural, colors that come from nature, all of those kind of patterns and everything. The fur of her cat and all of these shades are in it. They all complement each other and work in harmony together, and they kind of can look a little bit contrasty, like these two shades, but when you put them together they just work. You know, you could kind of maybe look at this shade and think, oh, you know, if you take that out it's quite cool toned, and then you pop that in, the little bit of warmth, but to me it needs that bit of warmth to kind of give that little bit of contrast, and it just makes it a little bit more interesting than an all cool palette, which obviously would have been nice as well. But I love the gold so much more than I thought I would, and I loved how it looked, and I love like the gold and purple together are beautiful, the gold and the mink, the gold and the blue, the gold and the lilac, like they're all really lovely combinations. So I think just looking at the color combinations and seeing what would work best for you, because I was talking to somebody who was wearing the palette and she said, I don't know how to wear it like on an everyday basis, and I said, well, what I would do is just pick a colour and wear it all over your lid with mascara, and that's it. You could maybe do a little bit of eyeliner or whatever. These shades are all so beautiful on their own. You don't need to do anything too intricate with them because they're all just so nice on their own. They have such nice textures and nuance, and they're so easy to blend that you don't even need to blend them into anything like a transition shade or whatever, which I don't really do anyway. I just normally wear the eyeshadow on its own, blend it out, and that's it. But because of the formulas, they're so easy to use and so easy to wear that you don't need to do that. You don't need to do an intricate look. You can just wear this shade all over your lid and blend it out and it's fine, or this one and it's that transparent base where you like turn your head into certain lights and you can really see it and it looks amazing. Or like I'm really looking forward to wearing Prima Donna on its own because I just think it's such a lovely depth of purple, and you can kind of see the blue sheen in Lavender Queen, and that is, like I said, when I had that all over my lid just with a brush, it's just such a fresh shade. It is going to depend on the tools that you use as well, because if you use them like without a primer and you're just doing it all over your lid with a fluffy brush, it's going to give you a more sheer wash of colour, which some people might prefer. Other people might prefer to use their finger or to apply it with a damp brush, or to use a glitter glue or something underneath to make it more intense and more like to stand out more. So it will just depend on your preferences and how you like to use your makeup, what tools you use. All of that is going to change how the eyeshadows look on your eyes. So it's just personal preference. I like that there's only 6 shades. It's not overwhelming. You can easily wear each of these shades on their own, or you can combine elements. Like you could do your mink all over your lid and then a bit of the lavender on your inner corner, or a bit of starlit on your inner corner, and that is a really easy look to do. That is still impactful, but it's not too much, and there's not too much effort going into it, and you don't need to keep blending and adding transition colours and mattes and all that kind of stuff. You can just wear those shades and that's it. Having such a small amount of shades I really like, and I find large palettes quite overwhelming. I really love that this only has 6 shades, and it just makes it a lot more approachable for me anyway, and it's not overwhelming. Like when I open this, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wear Starlit today, or I'm gonna wear this today. You know, I can kind of pick a look a lot easier, whereas when it's a bigger palette, it's a lot more overwhelming and I end up just going for the same shades all the time. Whereas I feel like with this, I'll wear all of them equally because they're all shimmers, they all work in harmony together, and they're just all so easy to use. You know, if you're somebody who maybe likes the idea of trying a little bit of colour, like maybe you think, oh, I might wear like purple on my inner corner or on my lower lash line, or maybe all over my lid with a little bit of mascara, maybe this is a good palette to get because maybe you really like the look of the more neutral shades and you kind of think, do you know what, I'm going to get it because the neutral shades I know I'll wear, and then these purples is a nice way for you to incorporate colour into your eye makeup without it being really intense, because the formulas are so easy. On the opposite side, if you never wear purples, if you never wear colour, maybe you like the look of the neutral shades, but you just think, I'm never going to wear these. Well, then it's not a good purchase. It's not something that you should buy, because there are only 6 shades. So I think unless you're going to wear all of them, it's kind of a waste of your money, because you might use the neutral shades loads, but if you're not using the other shades, it's just such a waste. So in that case, I would say just go for the singles, because you can buy the singles and put them in a palette you will already have, or just keep them in their little card that they come in. Look, you're gonna know yourself, it's all down to personal preference. All I can say is I love this so much. I mean, I don't know if I can fully say yet if it's my favorite of her palettes, but it has really surprised me, because I knew I was going to love it, but I love it even more than I thought I would. And what I would say is I haven't been able to capture how beautiful these eyeshadows are in videos or photos. And I've used my phone and I've used my DSLR, and I just have not been able to capture how stunning they are in person. They're just on another level in person. In photos and videos, they look gorgeous, but like the sparkle in the light in person is just, I haven't been able to capture it on camera because it's just so beautiful. So I will say that I think it's even more gorgeous in person than it is in the photos. And so a few other things about the palette. It is made in Italy. It has a shelf life of 24 months once you open it. It's a 5.1 gram weight, so it's around the same as the other palettes. I think some of them are 5.4 or 5.7, so it's the same weight. And then it is also vegan, so all of the shades are vegan, which is great for anyone like me who has a carmine allergy, or if you just prefer to use vegan products. And yeah, that's it. Like, you can see some of the looks that she has done to accompany the palette. So she's done this really kind of nice sculpted look here, this really easy look on this model, and then I love the lavender inner corner with the mink. You can kind of see where she's going with the imagery that comes with the palette. Yeah, that is everything. It's, I mean, you know, if you've watched any of my videos or you've consumed any of my content on social media, you know that I'm such a big fan of the brand. It's just a brand that I really resonate with. I love the products. I just feel like they're so well thought out and carefully considered, and everything just kind of makes sense. It's just a brand that I really love, and I was really hoping that I would love this palette, and I'm so glad that I do, and that it's exceeded my expectations, because that doesn't always happen with makeup that you're really excited about. So I'm so happy that this has exceeded my expectations. I think combining it with the launch of the Kitten Lash Mascara in Burnt Umber was really clever, because they pair so well together, because, you know, brown mascara is so much lighter and more fresh than a black mascara, and it's just such a nice warm brown that just will work well on anybody. And I mean, you can see, you know, my eyelashes are still defined. You can still see that I'm wearing mascara, but it just has a little bit of kind of, I don't know, lightness to it compared to a black mascara. And I really like how it looks, especially against the purple. I just think that they're such a lovely combination of colours, the warm brown and the purple. I just love how they look together. I mean, I love that mascara formula anyway, and I loved the Burnt Umber eye pencil, so I kind of knew I would love this. And I am a big fan of brown mascaras, so I am really happy with this, and I know a lot of people are going to love this mascara, and I think my mom actually will really like this. She has a lot lighter hair than me, so I think that she will like this. She's using the YSL Lash Clash in brown at the moment, which I've used as well, and that's lovely, but it's a much darker brown, and this is just a little bit lighter. If you're someone who doesn't really wear mascara maybe, or you don't like how black mascara looks when you're not wearing any eye makeup, the brown is going to be really nice, and I think this is going to be a great shade for the summer in particular. And it's such a long wearing mascara as well. It's not waterproof and it's not a tubing mascara, but it does last really long. throughout the day. It doesn't flake, it doesn't get all over my face, which is great because so many mascaras do that. So I'm a big fan of the mascara and I'm a big fan of the eyeshadow palette. I suppose this is what you would call a glowing review because I just really love both of these products and I just think that they're such a good combination. I suppose the only negative thing that I would say is that I really wish that it wasn't limited edition. I wish that this was part of her permanent collection because I just love it and I just think that it's so nice. And I'm not the biggest fan of limited edition purely because as a content creator, I suppose, if something is limited edition and sells out, then it makes me not want to use it on camera or, you know, incorporate it into a look because, you know, even though it's, you know, you don't always have to have the exact products that somebody is using, people do tend to get a bit annoyed when you are using something that you can't get anymore. But like loads of brands do limited edition and, you know, it is what it is. Fingers crossed she might make it permanent. Like if it does really well, she might make it permanent. I love that she's done this really like bright, fresh, springy, colourful palette. I just think it's such a nice addition to the collection and it can be worn really easy. I think with some of the other eyeshadows that she has, like I feel like this would quite complement the colours in the Sorcery palette and I feel like you could use a lot of the colours from Vega with this as well. So if you want to see more detail about the formulas and about the other eyeshadow palettes that I have, you can have a look on my blog and there are loads of different looks that I've done, loads of like really close-up photographs. So if you want to know more about the actual formulas and the palettes themselves, then have a look at my blog post on that, which I will have in the description box. I've done a reel on the Kitten Lash Mascara, the black one, and I also have a look that I've done with the Betty palette, so I'll leave those linked in the description as well. And then I also will have my blog post to coincide with this so that you can actually see photographs, you know, still photographs. I think that videos are great, but I also like to see close-up photographs of products as well. So I'm going to have those so that you can see really close up how the eyeshadows look on the eyes and all of the looks that I've done with them. And if you don't have the palette, maybe it will make you think, okay, you know, I really like that palette, or maybe you'll think, no, it's not for me, give it a miss. And if you already have the palette, it might give you inspiration of how to wear the eyeshadows and different combinations that you can do as well. So hopefully this video has been helpful. I think I've covered everything. If I haven't, please just let me know if there's something that you want to know. If you want to see swatches of those eyeshadows compared to other eyeshadows that you know I have in my collection, let me know and I can do that, because I know that that can be helpful if you kind of, you know, maybe think, right, I have something that's similar to that, I don't need to buy it, then that's good. But I do think it's great to have the option of buying the singles as well, because there might be an eyeshadow in that palette that you really like the look of, but maybe you're thinking, I'm not going to use the other shades, I have something similar, but maybe you want to buy Starlit, or you want to buy, you know, Lavender Queen, or maybe you want to buy Posh, the like sparkly mink shade. So having those singles available I think is brilliant, and I love that she does that and offers that, because it's just great for people who maybe aren't palette people, because I know a lot of people aren't, and they might just want to buy one or two shades from that palette. And I know a couple of people have said to me that they're going to buy a couple of the shades and put them into the other palettes that they have and kind of like make their own little colour story. So I think that's a nice option as well. So I think that's everything, if I remember correctly. I will have all of those other blog posts and videos and stuff in the description box, as well as the rest of the makeup that I'm wearing. I really hope that this video has been entertaining or helpful, hopefully. Thank you so much for watching. Give the video a little thumbs up if you liked it, and leave me a comment. Let me know if you bought the palette or if you have tried the mascara yet. I'd love to know. And that is it. I will see you next week with another video.